I officially have a little friend in the garden, and it's not one you want to have in large volume. I actually noticed it today while I was sitting out having my coffee. It's inside of this flower. Those tiny little flecks, while they may seem like just dust, dirt, or even in some cases could be mistaken as pollen, they are not. They're actually thrips. Now, the first time I noticed these thrips was actually on my nasturtium, and the best way to detect them is a dulling or pitting of the leaves. The reason for this is thrips don't actually eat the leaves or eat the flowers. All they do is sit on the surface, penetrate into the epidermis, and suck out what we call sap. These sap suckers tend to leave the leaves a little lackluster and can harm the yield and the performance of the plant. And in the case of houseplants, just take them out entirely over a period of time. Today's video, I'm going to teach you how to identify a thrip issue, whether or not you need to treat your thrip issue, because treatment is not always needed, and if you are treating, how to go about doing so. Okay, so my camera cut out. A little bit of a costume change here. Now, the best way to be able to understand how to treat thrips is actually to understand their life cycle. Now, thrips are very commonly found in drought conditions. Because they like drought conditions, you can actually wet the leaves or make the ambient humidity in your yard increase through regular watering. Obviously, watering the leaves is going to cause problems with fungi and bacteria, so you need to use this with some caution. But if you're not seeing any blights or powdery mildews, then wetting of the leaves can actually remove that thrip infestation. Now, if the infestation isn't horrible and you can locate it to a really specific portion of the plant, then consider removing the stems and leaves from that infected plant. So simply enough, if a portion of your tomato plant is infested with thrips, you could consider moving just the stems and leaves from that section, because that is the section that will have not only the eggs, but the adult thrips. If you remove that, it is likely that the rest of the plant will not have that bad of an infestation, and therefore just watering of the leaves, upping that natural humidity in that, again, micro ecosystem, will help to deter the thrips or just really dampen their vibe for reproduction and really taking over the garden. Now, the next step is honestly my favorite for both houseplants and also your garden, and that is beneficial insects. So I'm in love with the use of beneficial mites, the use of spiders, the use of ladybugs, you name it, to take care of everything from mealybugs to thrips. And thrips is one where if you encourage spider inhabitation, so if you see, things, for example, such as cobwebs, and you leave them behind, you ultimately are helping to prevent against thrips. So that is something that you should definitely consider. But if you're at your wit's end, you've tried the moisture / spraying off, you've tried the use of beneficials or biologicals, and you've tried pruning away the heavily infested areas, then you actually may need to consider some organic insecticide or just insecticide in general. Now, if you know me and you know this channel, you know I don't care if you use insecticides. I think everything kind of serves its purpose, and if you're comfortable with insecticidal use, whether that's for weeds in the herbicide sense, fungicides in the fungicide sense, and or insecticides, then go ahead and use those. I'll list out which chemicals you'd be wanting to look for inside of your insecticides. So those are the ones that you want to look at. I'm just gonna move out of the sun because my camera's not enjoying it. And one thing you can use that is completely considered organic is an OMRI listed insecticidal soap. This is the Safer's form. Safer's also makes one of my most favorite indoor insecticides, and that is called End All. It is wonderful, not organic, but this insecticidal soap will work wonders here. And all you're going to do is you're going to spray said leaves, stems, and flowers. If it applies, you want to spray both the top and the bottom. And in the case of things like lilies or plants that have lots of folds, I would really heavily dose going downwards to make sure that it kind of drips and flows into the folds of the leaves and the stems. Now, your other option, if you didn't want to use insecticides or insecticidal soap, would be things like diatomaceous earth. But within diatomaceous earth, just a heads up there, it doesn't work wonders on thrips. So use some caution and common sense in that way. I would use insecticidal soap whenever possible with these thrips. I hope this helps you guys out in determining whether or not you need to control your thrips or if you can just kind of let them do their own thing. Ultimately speaking, they do kind of move their way into your garden. So even if you try to put all the checks and balances in place to ensure they don't come back next year, they likely will. They're not like a flea beetle where we can mitigate or change their habitat over time, or like slugs and snails, for example. We can work with the soil to actually get rid of the pests. Thrips are something that just tends to move in on the wind, similar to like a downy mildew, unfortunately. So I hope this helps. If you guys have thrips, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know if they're really bad this year or if they're just kind of average for you. Last year was aphids for me. This year is most definitely thrips taking over. So have a great day, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye. If you guys enjoyed today's video and Bronx, then hit that subscribe button down below.